So there's a lot of talk among carnivores, especially new carnivores, in a lot of social media groups where people ask, what kind of supplements do you take? You have to take supplements because obviously meat doesn't have all the vitamins you need to be healthy and to be optimal. Those of us who are a little more experienced at this know that's not true, that you can get everything you need from eating meats and whatever the proper use of organ meats is, depending on, that's a big hot topic of debate, I know. And I'll go over organ meats in the future, but there are, we'll say a diligent use of organ meats as sort of a moderate position on this, as you need them. But I think what needs to be discussed really, and I haven't seen a lot of it, are animal sources of the various different vitamins and other nutrients that people get concerned about not getting enough of on the carnivore diet, or at least people perceive that they're not getting enough of these things on the carnivore diet. Again, we know that if you're eating animal products, whether it's on the lion diet, which is just beef, muscle meat, salt, and water, or strict carnivore, which is going to be, mostly muscle meat, some organs, salt, and water, or even relaxed carnivore where you're adding in some dairy, you can get everything you need from animal sources. And in fact, those vitamins are usually, if not always, more bioavailable from an animal source for the human body than they are from plants. I know maybe some of you who are just stumbled on this, your mind is blown at that assertion that you can get your vitamins and your minerals in a more bioavailable, meaning ready for your body to use form from an animal source than from a typical plant source or multivitamin. And so I'm going to just go out and just say, you don't need to take a multivitamin. You don't need to take supplements. I remember one of my first videos, I said I was still using creatine monohydrate. I ditched the creatine a couple of weeks ago and had no negative effects. So today I'm going to give you a brief personal life update about what has changed for me on carnivore and some good news in that way in the last couple of weeks. But first, we're going to talk about where to find vitamins K2 and D3 from strictly animal sources. So let's get started with this. Now, we're going to start with K2. Vitamin K2, one of the most overlooked vitamins in the carnivore world and in the nutrient world in general. A lot of supplements out there will give you K1, or plants will give you K1, but K2 is what you're wanting. There are health benefits to K2. You can, one study, that a peer-reviewed study noted that people who take in more K2 than others had a reduced risk of we'll just call it the C word. Our hosts here don't like the C word, the dreaded C word, one of those things in life that we're all actively trying to avoid. You can get it, the side effect of, smoking and other things, the C word. Vitamin K2 also appears to improve bone quality, which means it could lead to a consistently good use of it, could reduce your chances of getting a broken bone. So if you're physically active, that's a good thing. In 2017, a review stated that bone density is not always affected by vitamin K2 intake, but people who do take vitamin supplements that included calcium and D and K2 were 25% less likely to have a bone fracture in their lifetime. I'm not saying supplementation is always bad. You don't need to supplement. You don't need to use vitamins to get this, but it can help. Now, again, we're going to go through the animal reviews here, but first, K2 can also help you deal with insulin resistance, and it can help you prevent diabetes or address diabetes. So it can also give you some glycemic control and help you avoid medication for these things. There's also some studies that suggest it can help prevent Alzheimer's disease. So if you're an older person watching this and you're doing carnivore, you are going to want to find ways to improve your K2 input. So how do you do that? I've got just the list of top K2 sources from strictly animal sources. So this will cover everything from strict carnivore down to relaxed carnivore. Okay. So your first is going to be goose liver. It's the highest source of vitamin K2 at 369 micrograms per serving. Beef liver at 106 micrograms per serving. Turkey sausage. Now, caveat on sausage, most sausages have filler, so you may need to make some of your own. But turkey sausage at 36.6 micrograms. Just generally chicken meat. So this would be chicken breast, those tasty little party wings, whatever, at 35.7 micrograms. Salami at 28 micrograms. Again, be careful with salami because of the fillers. Learn to make your own, actually. You can always use pork rinds as a filler in these things. Same goes with pepperoni at 41.7 micrograms. Soft cheeses. Again, that's for your relaxed carnivores out there. Half of these sources are for relaxed carnivores. Soft cheese at 506 micrograms. Blue cheese of the soft cheeses, 440 micrograms. And if you're following Dr. Chafee's advice and having dairy as a condiment, remember he says as a condiment, and he always says, people hear that and then they eat tons of cheese, but as a condiment, meaning you're sprinkling a little cheese on your, on your meat or having a little bit of cheese on the side a few times a week. Well, remember the steakhouse favorite. You can make a blue cheese cream sauce to go right on your steak. Wonderful if you can do it. I'm right now in a dairy-free stage of carnivore, so I can't do that, but that is one thing I am looking forward to when I hit my goals. Hard cheese. There's going to be your dry cheeses, your Parmesan, Reggianos, and your Pecorino Romanos, and all those wonderful, wonderful hard dry cheeses. That's 282 micrograms per serving. Full fat milk. Good luck finding that in the United States, unless you're getting it from a farm, because even whole milk has had some of the fat and the cream skimmed off the top. But full fat milk, if you can find it, 38.1 micrograms per serving. And bacon, the staple of the carnivore diet for many, many people, 35 micrograms per serving. Now, if you can find goose liver, more power to you. I'm sure there are people out there who will sell you full geese after slaughter, which is good if you can find it. I've never had goose. It's one of those things I keep meaning to do every fall. There's a sort of a religious holiday that I keep, forgetting about, which is kind of an indictment of myself, but where goose is a traditional dish, and I want to find a goose and learn how to cook it. I want to see if I can get the liver, because that 369 micrograms sounds like a pretty good deal to me. And that would be my one liver serving I permit myself a week, because I don't like liver much anyway, but it can be good to have in judicious small amounts periodically. So that's vitamin K2. Now remember, K2 is best absorbed when paired with vitamin D3. When I was in the early stages of carnivore and taking supplements, I was taking a vitamin K2 D3 supplement, but I eventually stopped because there is no reason to take an external supplement if you're being just a little smarter about what you're eating than most people are. So, let's talk about vitamin D3. In addition to helping with the absorption of K2, vitamin D3 has its own health benefits. It may help you fight disease, including multiple sclerosis, heart disease, that thing that dominated the world in 2020, and supporting immune health. The scientific community thinks but isn't quite sure if it helps regulate mood and prevent depression, as well as helping with fat loss. There's more studies that need to be shown on both of those things. But if there's a chance that this helps with fat loss, and that is your goal on carnivore, and I nearly called this channel Carnivore for Weight Loss because that's something I want to really focus on. If that is your goal, boost your D3. And you probably need to boost your vitamin D anyway, given that most of you probably don't live in an equatorial region and you just aren't getting enough vitamin D in the sun, short of you working outdoors 12 hours a day, like as a construction worker or contractor of some kind. But more study is needed in the area of mental health and fat loss when it comes to the benefits of vitamin D. So what are the big sources of vitamin D3? Right now, vitamin D3 is measured in IUs, not micrograms. And I don't think that really is that important, because also we have the percentages here. So the number one source for vitamin D3 is farmed rainbow trout. Yeah, farmed. Now, farmed fish is not usually good. There are some whispers that in the fish farming industry is that they are learning how to do it in a better, more sustainable and cleaner way. That's good news, because while I'm not a big on most issues related to green things in general, fish farming is gross. It's really taxing on the environment. People should care to some degree about that stuff, but they are trying to make it cleaner and with a cleaner product for human consumption, and that's a good thing. But So the number one source of vitamin D3 is rainbow trout that's farmed. Just 3 ounces of rainbow trout provide 645 IUs, or 81% of your daily requirement, according to the USDA, your daily requirement of vitamin D3. 3 ounces. It's not hard to add into your diet. It's also a rich and heart-healthy source of omega-fatty 3 acids, so they say. The number 2 source will be sockeye salmon, which is a lot easier to find than farmed trout. And if you can get wild salmon, you don't have to worry about the farmed problems. The sockeye salmon has slightly less than trout at 570 IUs, or 71% of your daily value. This is going to be in that 3-ounce cooked serving or 4 ounces raw. Of course, that information comes with the caveat that wild-caught fish can have some mercury. I don't personally worry about mercury. I have salmon once a week, and usually it's like a pound of it at a time. So I'm not too worried about that myself, because I think, like most of these things, there's a lot of stuff out there that's just overblown. But, for those of you who do worry about those things, take note of that. Though most of the health authorities in the United States will tell you that the benefits of salmon outweigh the mercury hazard. The number 3 source are sardines. Typical serving of sardines, which comes in those little rectangular cans, provides about 200 IUs. And sardines are also pretty cool because they offer other nutrients as well, especially the ones with the bone in and skin on them. That includes things like, the bones have calcium and collagen, the skin has collagen, there's vitamin B12, and again, omega-3 fatty acids, which are also present in salmon. But for the bang for your buck here, the number 1 here is going to be probably sardines. And it comes with 200 IUs, which is going to be about 30%, give or take, of your daily value. And of course, eggs. Now, 1 egg only has 44 IU, or 6% of your daily value, but if you're eating eggs regularly, you're probably not doing it the way I do. I eat egg yolks twice a week, maybe. I've never liked eggs much. I have a long history of not liking eggs for most of my life. I thought I was allergic to eggs. Turns out I'm just allergic to egg whites. One of those people. But I'll put a raw egg yolk or 2 on my meat. I think it's one of the best condiments for steak ever devised. But 1 egg has 44 IU of vitamin D3, or 6% of your daily value. And you're probably not eating 1 egg. If you're carnivore and you're doing more than 1 meal a day, you're probably eating 4 eggs, 6 eggs at a time. Which, given how much eggs are going up in value, is kind of annoying right now. But so, if you're eating 6 eggs, you're getting 36% of your daily value for vitamin D3. It's, 1 egg is equivalent to eating 2 sardines. Now, or 2 cans of sardines. So maybe the egg is actually more bang for your buck. I will let you decide that one. And mainstream nutrition thought says that the cholesterol content makes loading eggs up inadvisable, but we know better than that. We know that cholesterol is actually important for hormone signaling in the body, and that cholesterol really isn't the problem. It's usually what happens when you start mixing simple carbohydrates in with cholesterol. And maybe it's the simple carbohydrates that are the problem, and maybe they throw everything in your body out of whack. That seems to be where most of the actual carnivore science is these days. And now, finally, for a source of vitamin D3, the ever controversial beef liver. Some people love liver. I don't. Some people hate it, but it packs a nutritional punch. In fact, I'm going to have some today. I've got some right now soaking in milk to have later today. It's got a lot of nutrition. It's got a lot of protein, iron, and vitamin A. In fact, the iron content in vitamin A is so high that some people stay away from beef liver. I tend to have it once a week. And any other organ meats I eat throughout the week are going to be much lower in iron and much lower in vitamin A to balance it out, because other organs have things that beef liver doesn't have in as high of amounts. It's like eggs, it's got a lot of cholesterol. So for some reason, if you're worried about cholesterol in the carnivore community, don't be. But if you are worried, beef liver's got a high amount in it. Vitamin D in 3 ounces of liver is 5% of your daily value, and 3 ounces once a week is all I ever eat. So you can get some vitamin D there. For me, I get mostly my vitamin D from salmon and eggs. That's where I get most of it. I have tons of sardines on hand. Therefore, basically, like horrible weather or something horrible happening where I can't get to the store. It's sort of my emergency food. That's what I keep it for. Now back to the D3. When it comes to D3, pretty much the only thing I ever eat on a regular basis that's on that list, or the K2 rather, on that list is the beef liver. That's really the only thing I eat on a regular basis. I mean, I don't eat that much bacon, which will be surprising to you when you see the bacon video that I'm working on. But I don't eat that much bacon anymore. I don't know if that's a phase you hit a place when you're doing carnivore where you suddenly aren't eating that much bacon anymore. But I don't eat that much bacon. I eat beef liver once a week, and I don't eat turkey really. I eat chicken wings once in a while. That's about it. And I don't eat like prepared sausages, just because they're just loaded with things I'd rather not, take chances with on carnivore. The maltodextrin and corn syrup and the tiny amounts of sugar they tend to put in these things. I was really disappointed because there's a great brand at Costco that has no carbs in it, but sugar is on the list. And they were made at a grass-fed, grass-finished beef. They're so good, the Kielbasa brand. And saw the sugar. I think I saw a binder on that list too, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to try to see if I can make my own sausage. Let me know if you want to see a video on that, if I can figure out a relaxed carnivore, at least appropriate one, like say pork rinds. People I know get divided about pork rinds. They're a great binder. They're great for carnivore-friendly breading substitute over anything else. So now I said I'd give you a personal update. And I hinted at this in my video on Monday where I said that, I had been in a 3-month fat loss stall and that I broke through it after I stopped eating until my body told me I was comfortably full. That I sort of threw out that advice that is pretty much the mainstream advice among carnivore circles that all the major carnivore influencers tell you to do. And I waited 3 months to stop doing that before I started just tracking macros again, protein and fat. I didn't care much about calories because the calorie content of these things, the nutrition information is wildly inaccurate anyway most of the time. But also calories are not a good measurement of human nutrition. But I stopped doing that after 3 months because when you've been stalled for 3 months where you aren't really losing anything, your weight may shift up and down a little bit, but you're staying at that median or mean line for your body weight or your body fat percentage. I stopped doing that after 3 months because that's where 3 months is what is typically accepted as a stall, right? So I was officially stalled out. And I started tracking macros again the way I was on keto. And immediately I got on the scale and the weight was gone. And that same day I went to the gym and had a great workout. And I had a great workout in doing the kinds of things that I would normally be prone to having a harder workout with if the weight loss was muscle loss, not fat loss. I kept my macros to within what are generally considered among bodybuilding circles to be acceptable if you're trying to preserve muscle mass while burning fat off. Burning, quote unquote. You don't burn fat. But, if you're trying to lose body fat, maintain, and even build muscle, I was keeping my protein and fat macros within that acceptable range that is generally considered accepted in keto and carnivore bodybuilding groups. And I lost 4 pounds. For the first time in months. I don't think that's a coincidence. I will share. So I'm down to, so most of my early videos you see, I've said I'm a guy, I'm Anthony Stein and I lost 133 pounds doing keto and carnivore, right? Now it's 137. And I'm hoping this continues, but that's where I'm at now. And I'm going to do a video, I think, on how to use carnivore for weight loss that sort of defies some of the more widely accepted things. Because I think there's a lot of issues with hormone signaling that people are unwilling to address or they push aside. And if you are, starting carnivore and you've got a lot of body fat to lose, maybe, eating in a way that might help have you gain weight. And we'll say you can't gain weight on carnivore when you're obese. That's not true. I've seen plenty of testimonies from people who say that they are gaining weight. And if you are obese to a certain point, gaining any weight is not advisable at all. It could actually cause you more harm than good. So, I'll go over what you need to do to make that decision for yourself. And it will actually include making sure you follow the advice of all those more well-known people, all the physicians giving carnivore advice on how to lose weight. Make sure you follow their advice as a checklist. And if you've done everything and are still not losing weight, then you may have to take matters into your own hands. Anyway, let me know what you thought of all this in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. It really does help. And as always, try and optimize your day today.